Anyone who is overweight has time and time again failed on their fat loss journey. This is episode 2 on Complete Guide to Fat Loss. I explained in the previous video there's 3 factors to fat loss. You've got your nutrition, you've got your lifestyle, and you have your training. These are the main factors, and there is one bonus if you stay till the next video that will help you and make sure that you actually implement these things. But number 1 is starting off with the most important, as everyone always knows, is nutrition. As you can see, meat equals fats and protein. All right, a lot of people will break that down and think, what is meat going to help me with? You're going to have the right fats, which is going to massively help with the right balance on your hormones, because with no fats, which most people do, is they end up with really low energy and they get a misbalance with the combination of protein, fats, and carbs. So having the right fats is fundamental for your fat loss journey. This is going to keep you satiated, so you're not hungry, and it's going to help you with your energy levels. And with most meats, such as red meat, like your lamb, your salmon, your beef, this is going to have the most nutrients in it, which is going to help you feel amazing. So your fats and your protein comes from your meat, such as those ones, plus the eggs. You do get your things like your chicken, which I do think is a great tool for high protein, but it is low in fats. So I would combine both of those by making sure you get the right fats and protein with your one meal of your day would be your high fats, such as your red meat, lamb, or salmon. And then your next one with your high protein but low fats would be your chicken, or your, even eggs do have fats in them, but they are a good source of protein. But you're looking at your white fish, your prawns, these things would be low fats. So why would you do high fats, low fats? Because if you have high fats, like your red meat for lunch and then your salmon for dinner, then you're going to be in a situation where your calories are going to be very high. So what you would want to be combining would be the right amount of fats in the day and plus low enough calories to lose fat. Because you go high and high, your calories are going to be too high. And if you go just protein with no fats, you're going to feel tired, lethargic, and you eventually get sick, like the flu or a cold. Number 2 is fruit, veg, and carbs. So that would be your carbohydrate sources. You are going to have other carbohydrates sources away from fruit and veg, but those are the ones that I would suggest to stick to. You're going to get more nutrients in your fruit and vegetables compared to other things like here, which would be your grains, sauces, nuts, protein shakes. These are things that can be included on occasion, but you tend to more focus on these two with because you'll get all your fats, protein, and carbs in your fruit, veg, and meat. So your meat would be your eggs, fish, prawns, lamb, beef. Then fruit would be any fruit you want at all, any veg you want at all, and you can have as much of that as you like to a certain extent, give or take what I explained with the fats and the protein, which would be perfect. The more you add in the other stuff, the more grains, sauces, nuts, and protein shakes, the harder it is to understand your quantities. So it takes people who are very, very busy all the time, it is difficult for those people because they end up in a situation in where they overeat these things because they're easy to eat too much of them, compared to eating like these section here. It is going to be far more satiating for you and stop you overeating. And that is where people go wrong on their journey, because they always trying to implement into every single meal the grains, sauces, different tight, palatable foods, very tasty foods, and they end up overeating those things eventually. If it's not 1, 2, 3 weeks, they end up doing it over and over again. And if you have no option for these things, and you only give yourself the option in the house to have these, you will then find yourself in a far easier situation. Number 2 is lifestyle. You've got sport, you've got walking, and you've also got people you are around. So let me explain this in more detail. The sport could be any sport. You play basketball, badminton, squash, paddle, any of these, you mixed martial arts, different things. You want to have these as your sport. So something that would be on top of your training, which we'll go through later, but your sport would be something that you would do as an enjoyment basis that doesn't really go through training specifically. And this will help you be active. This will help you actually enjoy the journey a little bit, as opposed to being, constantly only thinking about training. And it takes you onto your walking. A lot of people might not have a sport, or maybe they just don't like to. Maybe they want to do a lot more walking. I would definitely recommend combining sport and walking, but if you want to just do lots of walking, I would use that time to educate yourself, be mindful, so what you're listening to, maybe on Spotify, things that are mindful, or as I said, educational, or you can go in silence. This is also extremely good for your mind. Walking in silence might be a part of the day where you've been busy all day, you're in a corporate job, people are talking all the time, people are asking you questions. Walking away, keeping your phone in your pocket or keeping your phone at home and just walking in silence, it might be what you need to then have that relaxation on your mind to then help you and guide you through the next day of work, the next, dealing with family, friends, different aspect. Because if you're always on the go, always stimulated, you eventually burn out and break. And that is why being mindful, using silence, or even using that time to educate yourself on something that you've not found the time to, you can do 2 birds with 1 stone, because you can walk and move and feel good. And also at the same time, you can build on things that maybe you haven't got around to doing, which would be these parts here. The next one would be people you are around. Being, for example, around people that drink a lot of alcohol is only going to result in you drinking more alcohol. It's harder to get away from it. Whereas the people you're around are all healthy. They go to places, if they do eat out, that are relatively healthy and not really, really bad for you. They don't go out all the time, they socialize, they do home-cooked dinners at the weekend of some sort, and they are making better choices with their life. They may be meeting up and doing something fun like a sport, as here, and that is again where you're around the right people will influence your body composition. It will make a huge difference to how mindful you are, because you're also making the right choices and you're around the right people, and these are super important. Number 3 would be training. How do you train? A lot of people just think of training and exercise as 2 different things, right? If you exercise, people just go to random sporadic classes, or they just do something that's non-structured. And the problem with that is you're only going to end up either burning yourself out by doing the wrong stuff, or you end up injuring yourself, or not really doing the exercise that it should be constructed in the right way to complement your actual goal. So what happens is, if you do the wrong training, it affects your nutrition massively as well, because you might not be burning too many calories at one time. You might be training incorrectly, which affects how your hormones are, which makes you overeat the wrong things, and it can be a negative spiral. So these also all work hand in hand with each other. And as you can see, if you're training, you want to combine that. So how would you do it on a weekly basis? Your strength training, let's say 3 times per week. You want to combine your conditioning. It could be strength and conditioning. If you know what that is, that means that you can do cardio, let's say, but it's with weights. So you could do like an exercise section, which is 3 exercises, all weights, do them fast. Then you're still lifting weights, plus you're doing a high cardiovascular exercise. And where people a lot of the time go wrong, in my opinion, is they just do light cardio all the time. The reason I don't necessarily like that is because you don't really increase your performance when it comes to your performance in the gym and training, so you don't see as much progress. Yes, it might be good for losing fat, which is a topic of what we're doing, but I think you can hit, and which I know you can hit, the same body composition, if not better, by combining the strength, conditioning, and cardiovascular as one on, say, once a week, and then having 3 times a week strictly strength. That would be a good solid 4 sessions per week. That would be built towards getting the right muscle growth and the right combination of exercises with you to make sure you get enough rest, which where enough people would maybe 3 times a week you don't train, because when you're looking to lose fat, you don't have to just train 7 days a week. You need to have a combination of rest in there, which will then help you when you do train, pushing hard. And by doing more will also mess up your hormones. If you're doing too much, you end up overeating on the nutrition side of things, which is a bit of a nightmare because you cannot outwork a bad diet. And always understand that is you need to make sure you have the right combination of heavy training and rest. And if your rest days will be combined with your lifestyle because you're doing sport on the rest day, you're also doing walking on those rest days, that is going to be more than enough. The last part here is enjoyment. I think this is extremely important when it comes to your training. If you are, training and you're enjoying what you're doing, you're seeing progress, you're tracking what you're doing, you're going to enjoy it far more. This is super important. If you are going to the gym and you're dreading it completely, then there probably is something wrong there. Maybe you're not following the right guidance. Maybe you're not getting the results you need to get on a weekly basis, and maybe you need to change something if you're not enjoying it. I'll be honest, you're never going to love it. Most of the time, you're never going to love it, but at least you can enjoy it to a certain extent, because most of the time when you're making progress on something, you usually enjoy it a lot more. So I hope that's been super helpful for you to get that structure along the side of your nutrition, your lifestyle, and your training. For me to take you on to the third and final video is how to implement all this stuff together, which is probably the most important part to all of it. Once you know the information, how do you piece it together and how do you get that? So click the next video and please subscribe to the channel to get updates along the way, which will keep you on the straight and narrow, getting the results in the short term, most importantly, keeping you on track.